Hello and welcome back to goldstocktrades.com. Today we have back here with us Dennis Higgs. Dennis is executive chairman of Uranerz Energy. Uranerz can be traded as URZ on the New York Stock Exchange. Thanks, Dennis, for being back here with us.
Jeb, thank you.
Congratulations on the recent closing of the $20 million loan from the state of Wyoming. Tell us about your experience permitting, financing, bringing a uranium mine into production in Wyoming.
Sure. Wyoming is one of the best states to be permitting a uranium mine. However, it still took us a long time, nearly 5 years, to get all the permits necessary for producing uranium. We have all those permits now. Going back in 2007, we were one of the only a few companies to apply for our permits back then, and prior to that time, there had been a very few applications because the uranium price had been quite low since the late 1980s. So that caught both the state and federal agencies off guard. It took a while for them to catch up, but the process should be better now and take much less time. But we've got all our permits now, and regarding the financing, Wyoming is actually a very progressive state in that regard. They're one of the few states that is running a budgetary surplus. And so because of this surplus, the state was able to, they've earmarked funds, if you will, for companies coming into the state and producing jobs and generating revenue for the state and so on. So because of this, they offer loans to these companies expanding in the state. So we recently applied for a $20 million loan and just closed that last week. So very favorable terms, 5.75% interest rate, and interest only for the first year, and then we amortize the principal and interest over the last 6 years. So it's a 7-year loan and very favorable terms. So all in all, Wyoming is a great state to be operating.
Dennis, how does this loan, this $20 million loan from the state of Wyoming, help Uranerz get into production, finish the construction at Nicholls Ranch, and when should we see Nicholls Ranch producing yellowcake?
Sure. So we are planning for production in the first quarter of 2014. The loan will help us complete this last little bit of construction and provide cash for startup and initial operations. The loan also allowed us to repay a short-term note, which we borrowed in June of this year, which was necessary at the time to get us over the hump for our construction. So now we're in good shape for production start, and we're looking forward to that early next year.
Dennis, we've seen the uranium price after Fukushima come down to 8-year lows, but recently we've seen this uptick for the past few weeks in the uranium price. Can you discuss the uranium market a little bit and how Nicholls Ranch will be able to be economically viable in this environment?
Sure, Jeb. As you point out, the uranium price is lower than we'd like to see at this time, especially the spot price. However, we've got contracts in place with two of the largest nuclear utilities in the U.S., and we negotiated those contracts back when the long-term price was considerably higher than where it is today. Back then, when we negotiated the contracts, it was between $60 and $70 a pound. So we've got those contracts in place. We'll be able to start up production and sell into those contracts for our initial production, initial sales, and that'll get us going. So we can be economically viable when producing at today's low prices thanks to our existing contracts with these two nuclear utilities.
Dennis, you recently announced the addition of Paul Goranson as president. Can you tell us about his experience with Cameco and how this will help Uranerz as you get into production?
Sure. Well, Paul Goranson is a great addition to our team. He has extensive hands-on experience mining uranium using the in-situ recovery, or what we call ISR mining method, and he's been involved with startups of some 5 or 6 uranium mines. So this experience will help us in the near term And of course, his experience in project evaluation and uranium marketing will also be a great asset when looking at the bigger picture. Just very briefly, his background: Paul has over 25 years of mining, processing, and regulatory experience in the uranium sector. It includes both conventional and in-situ recovery, or ISR mining. So most recently, as you mentioned, he was president of Cameco Resources, which is the U.S. subsidiary of Cameco Corporation. And Cameco Corporation is one of the world's largest uranium mining companies. In fact, it's the largest public uranium mining company. So at Cameco, Paul was responsible for executing their what they called their W growth strategy for the U.S. operations. And he most recently oversaw the construction and production startup of their North Butte ISR uranium mine, which is just north of our Nicholls Ranch facility in the Powder River Basin. So Paul's got a lot of experience, all of it very relevant to what we're doing today.
Dennis, we're seeing the startup, like as you just said with Cameco, the startup of new in situ recovery mines in the U.S. The megatons to megawatts program with Russia just terminated after 20 years. Why is domestic uranium production so important right now? And can you tell us why Uranerz is such a critical leader of that group?
Sure. The megatons to megawatts program officially ends this year, end of 2013. And in fact, the last shipment has already been shipped into the U.S. So the Americans can't count on this program to continue fueling their fleet of nuclear reactors. The U.S. has the largest number of nuclear reactors in the U.S. Let me rephrase that. The United States has the largest nuclear fleet of any country in the world. And to fuel that, they consume about 50 million pounds of uranium every year to fuel that nuclear fleet. And only about 4 million pounds of uranium is produced right now in the United States. So some of the shortfall was being shipped out of Russia through this highly enriched uranium, or megatons to megawatts program, into the U.S. About 20 to 24 million pounds of uranium was imported through that method. So that's come to an end. So it's crucial for the U.S. to develop its domestic uranium mines and secure more supply of this strategic metal in order to be part of the solution to America's energy independence. Now, Wyoming, of course, has the largest uranium reserves in the U.S., of any state in the U.S. So, and we expect to be producing first quarter of next year in the Powder River Basin, and we expect to be there for many years to come. So we'll be an integral part of that uranium supply, domestic uranium supply in the United States.
Dennis, as we conclude, why should uranium investors consider Uranerz over some of your peers?
Sure. So Uranerz, we have the required permits in hand for production. We have a very experienced ISR mining team. We just talked about a little bit regarding Paul Goranson, for example. The uranium grade of our uranium deposits in the Powder River Basin are, for the most part, higher than our ISR peers. And of course, Uranerz Energy, as we mentioned earlier, just closed its long-term loan, so we're well financed with working capital for the start of production. We also have attractive offtake agreements in place. So add those factors to the fact that Uranerz has the smallest market capitalization amongst our peers, and you have some pretty strong and compelling arguments for Uranerz Energy as an attractive uranium investment.
Well, Dennis, thank you so much for being back here with us, and congratulations on closing the $20 million loan from the state of Wyoming. Dennis Higgs from Uranerz Energy, symbol is URZ on the New York Stock Exchange. Thank you so much for joining us.
Jeb, thank you.